Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for July 13th through 15th, 2020. How are you doing? Well, we have officially had Mercury turn direct. It's been a long period of retrograde energy, months of this personal planets in retrograde, which we feel on a daily basis, and complete overhaul, rewrite of our life with the Venus retrograde. And yet Venus is now direct, still in its retrograde shadow. But with Mercury retrograde, we weren't really feeling the forward motion available, the impetus, the change, the new chapter. Now that Mercury is turned, we're getting the messages, the clarity, hopefully, of what that Venus retrograde was all about or has been about in Gemini. Venus still in Gemini now at the end of the month, coming up into its third and final square with Neptune, evaluating our life versus what we thought we wanted our life to be versus what we dream our life to be. What we were deluded into thinking our life was. All of this is on the table right now. And so just know that Mercury now direct is going to be just like really moving these energies, and it's like you want to pay attention. You want to just be really present with what's happening because it's time to get some stuff sorted out around what this last 3 months has been about for you personally and, also the collective. Now, we're feeling yesterday the sun an exact trine with Neptune, so they're still close for the next few days. And very powerful energy of dreaming a new dream, of examining how we can come up with a new concept, new truths, new ways to move forward in our life, in our world, and especially orienting ourselves, coming out of this confusion of the Venus retrograde. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know where I'm going. And then this beautiful sun trine Neptune saying, this is where you're going and this is what you want. It all comes back to a fulfillment that you've been looking for that's not available in what we think it is. Like when we have the perfect job and the perfect house and the perfect location and the perfect community and the perfect relationship, right? And yet none of that of this world is going to fulfill our deeper longing for spiritual purpose, our spiritual path. This is the core issue for all supernova souls, is that you've been disconnected from the bigger truth of who you really are, which is also the feeling of a path and purpose. And what's happening right now, this energy, this crazy lining up of astrology is grabbing a hold of this bigger truth of who you are and inviting it in. And it's almost like, okay, all this stuff has to be rearranged. All this stuff has to leave your life. You have to empty out, the tide just going out, so you can make room for this more true incarnating, this more true spiritual part of yourself that you have a sense, this inner longing that you have for this purpose. That's a sense that you have this, but you don't really know who you are as this bigger self. Only a small portion of you has been able to be here, present for this experience. So you have to understand that inviting this bigger part of you in, your bigger star self, means rearranging, dismantling, building a whole different life and energy, starting with that energy, starting with your presence, claiming back your life, claiming back your peace of mind, and making room to care and tend to this bigger self, to this star self. What is that part of you needed? Maybe that's helpful as a supernova soul with all this Cancer energy. We're coming into a second Cancer new moon at the end degrees of Cancer coming up here on the 20th. and all this Cancer energy, and can you receive? And then for the supernova soul, maybe when you do come back into this realization of your bigger spiritual self that you don't even know, and maybe that self-care and tending to that star self is a little easier than your personal self. It's like, okay, what is that? How do I take care of that bigger part of me? And there's a vision of what this means and looks like and could look like that's trying to come in to your world right now. And maybe it's just a sense of validation and knowing that there is a bigger part of you. And that just by the fact of existence in this realm and who you are as a soul, you couldn't all the way be here. But now that's changing. So powerful, like big energy for realizations right now. Spiritual revelation. And oh my gosh, now it makes sense, right? And so just take advantage of this powerful time. We are coming into the exact conjunction of Mars and Chiron, which is a beautiful kind of display of what this is all about. As Mars, our warrior self, our male planet, our action, comes into this conjunction with the wounded self, with the wounded warrior. And we're looking at the wounds of the divine masculine, of the masculine, and of how we heal those wounds, how we find that energy back in our life, our ability to protect ourselves, to stand up for what's right and true, to take care of ourselves, create a sacred container that can hold the spiritual light that you are. And really the warrior coming into the wounded warrior is saying, get up off of the battlefields, get up out of the trauma stories. Those might have happened, and they did, but that's not the actual true story of who you are. You went through all of that to get to who you really are. And now it's time for that story, that new story. And this is this turning point that we're in, and it's so incredibly powerful. And so the energy of realization, revelation, and release, I would say, of the trauma and the lower stories and the struggle. Because when you do come into that bigger light of the truth of who you are, it doesn't make sense so much to stay victimized by this world, right? And that's exactly the point we are at. If you want to take it, if you want to be here, if you want to be present, if you want to be awake in this moment, in this planetary experience of this Earth evolution, this is your moment. And now it's interesting because right on the day yesterday that Mercury turned direct, Chiron turned retrograde. So you can't get any clearer messages here, like as we go forward, Mercury going back to its furthest place in its retrograde, 5 degrees Cancer, turning, and Chiron's at its furthest place in its cycle for this year. 9 degrees Aries, it made it to 9 degrees, and now it's like, okay, enough. We pushed the envelope, and then Mercury turning direct, and then Mars hanging out with Chiron as it turns retrograde. It's just so epic. And it's like Chiron is lingering to connect with Mars for this special moment, for this, it looks to me like a knighting of that chivalrous, universal love, compassionate warrior. The spiritual warrior is being anointed and chosen. And it's like, oh, this is what the battle is about. And it's actually about getting out of the battle and coming back into the light of the truth of who you are. So, wow, planets are really speaking to us right now. And so pay attention. We also have this semi-sextile, one sign over, that Venus and Uranus, saying that we can do this, we can work together, we can love a new way, we can build a new life, we can build new values that can help us move into the Aquarian age. It's just going to take a complete and total dismantling, which is the Jupiter-Pluto, still very close together in Capricorn, and a dismantling of our world, our structures, but in this case, speaking specifically to our structures of self-worth. And the structure of self-worth that you're going to have towards the false lower self is always going to be demeaning, not good enough, worthless, disconnected, alone, And so this is where we're having this opportunity to, as that bigger spiritual self, finding a new internal value system. And being able to arrive here and get serious. The Capricorn energy is serious. And in this case, it's time to get serious about tending to the needs, the care of that bigger self, of your spiritual truth. And that, it's like this complete new direction available for the supernova soul in these powerful times of astrology. So hang in there, be super present with what's happening. Know that like everything that's happening right now in your world is very important on some level, like every little thing is a message, is kind of the energy of this lining up. And so let me know how you're doing. We'll see what this is all about for us. And I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. And I'll be I got some information, a video coming out about this Cancer new moon happening on the 20th and opposite of Saturn, exactly in Capricorn. So really powerful, continuing to get activated in this Cancer Capricorn axis as we get reborn into whatever it is that lies ahead. So I'm glad we're here together, and I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.